This is a chart for Pete Buttigieg, shown for noon, South Bend, Indiana, January 19th, 1982. There is no confirmed birth time. And we see that the transiting planets, the stellium in Capricorn, does point to this being his time in some sense. However, they also square themselves, Pluto and Saturn in particular. And depending on how the overall chart looks, particularly if we had a time, we'd be able to better say whether or not that square could prove to be really troublesome. A time that has been proposed is in the 7 a.m. range, and a time like that would be very favorable because then the Capricorn transiting planets would be crossing the ascendant, and especially Jupiter crossing through there is something that very frequently correlates with major victories for people. Also, a time like that would mean that the late Capricorn planets would be supporting his moon, which would be really helpful. If, on the other hand, we use the other proposed time that has been mentioned, loosely defined as at night, and we do something in the range of Virgo rising, 9 or 10 p.m., then we put the Capricorn energy in the fifth sign, which is the sign of elections and competitions, so it could still work. In that case, he'd have the moon conjunct Uranus in Sagittarius, which my sense is probably fits him better than the moon in Scorpio, but it's always best to have an accurate birth time. And so I think once it becomes available, it'd be a lot easier to predict what might happen to him. It's interesting to notice in the progressions and solar arc movements that the progressed sun, which is the same as the solar arc, is transiting at the moment, or rather, sorry, it's moving at the moment in Pisces, so that it is effectively in a trine to Jupiter, again highlighting a very special time. I would say, though, that all of this, however, does not necessarily say he can win the nomination and or the president. I would say there's enough here, but my feeling is that this man has, almost certainly has, a bright political future, and this might turn out to be the start of it. And then possibly with a good alignment to dependent on his birth time, it is possible that he could win the entire thing as well, because my sense is that the Democratic Party is split along centrist to progressive lines in about a 60-40 split, and Pete aligns himself with the centrist side, and my sense is that someone from that side is going to emerge. So even though Bernie Sanders at the moment has a lot of traction, I suspect that there won't be enough support for Bernie or Elizabeth Warren to emerge victorious. It is a lot more likely that it would be one of Pete Buttigieg, Joe Biden, Amy Klobuchar, or perhaps Mike Bloomberg.